everyone, I wish you the best for the day ahead. I am teacher Jumar and I am delighted to have you all here today. I appreciate your cooperation to achieve our goals in learning. Alright, so now are you ready? Let's go ahead! Before we start our video lesson, let's bow our heads and say a prayer through the video presentation. On your camera to identify who is present online. See to it that you look for a place that is suitable and comfortable for you while taking the online class. If you have questions, type your message in the chat box or click the raise hand button. To start with, the most essential learning competency is describe the different ecological relationships found in an ecosystem. The following objectives are, at the end of the lesson, you should be able to identify the ecological relationships in an ecosystem. Number 2 is give an example of organisms based on their respective ecological relationship. So do you think you are ready now? Let's start! You will surely learn if you come. The ecosystem is composed of the biotic and abiotic components in the environment. You've learned that the biotic community is made up of living organisms, while the abiotic components are made up of non-living things. Let's see what you have learned in the previous lesson. Before you watch this video, please take note of the following guide questions. Number 1, what are the biotic factors? And number 2, what are the abiotic factors?
Abiotic and biotic factors. An ecosystem contains living and non-living things. The ecosystem has many examples of the interaction between the living and the non-living. Living things in an ecosystem are called biotic factors. Living things include plants, animals, bacteria, fungi, and more. The non-living parts of the ecosystem are called abiotic factors. Some non-living things are sun, temperature, water, atmospheric gases, and soil. One example of the interaction between abiotic and biotic factors is with plants. Plants use sunlight, water, and CO2 to make food. Without these things, plants would not be able to grow. Another example is the interaction between turtles and soil. Some turtles are known to bury themselves in the soil. When the temperature becomes too hot, turtles seek protection in the cool underground. Elephants and water interact as well. In order to stay hydrated, elephants drink water. In fact, all biotic factors need water to survive. Fish and temperature also show the interaction between the living and the non-living. A fish's body temperature matches its surroundings. Warm, tropical waters keep the fish's body operating at an optimal temperature. Another example is fox in the snow. When the temperature drops and the snow starts to fall, some foxes grow a white fur coat. The thick coat insulates and keeps the fox warm. Also, the color matches its surroundings, an adaptation known as camouflage. Lastly, bacteria and soil interact. Bacteria are decomposers. Decomposers get energy by recycling dead organisms back into the ground. Nutrients re-enter the soil, making the ground fertile. So take a look out your window and try and identify the interactions between abiotic and biotic factors.
Based on the video that you watch, what are the biotic factors? How about the abiotic factors? You are all correct. To continue this lesson, I want you to answer the activity number 1. Congratulations, job well done. To sum it up, the activity number 1, biotic factors are living things within an ecosystem, such as plants, animals, and bacteria, while abiotic factors are the non-living components, such as water, soil, and the atmosphere. Did you get it? Abiotic factors are especially important because they directly affect how organisms survive. The way these components interact is critical in an ecosystem. In the environment, there are different organisms such as plants, animals, and microscopic organisms like bacteria and fungi. A group of organisms of the same kind and species that are living in the same place at the same time is known as a population. When populations interact in each other's environment, they form a community. And community interactions within and among populations maybe have important influences on organisms' death rates and birth rates, as well as on the population growth and size. The different interactions in an environment may have positive, neutral, or even negative influences on the interacting populations. All living organisms in an ecosystem affect one another. Any organisms cannot survive without other living things. They may help one another or even compete for survival. What are different relationships that exist in the environment? What happens when a butterfly visits a flower? The butterfly sucks the nectar of the flower. In this, the butterfly serves as an agent of pollination, and in effect, the butterfly helps the flower to reproduce sexually. Both the butterfly and the flower benefit from each other. The relationship where two organisms benefit from each other is known as mutualism. A relationship where one organism benefits without affecting the other, such as an orchid that grows on a tree, is an example of commensalism. Orchids are called epiphytes, as they depend on other plants for support. They usually grow on the trunk and branches of trees. By growing on branches of trees, orchids get the light they need for photosynthesis, and they are easily visited by insects to pollinate them. Orchids do not harm the trees they grow on. They obtain nutrients from the air, falling rain, and the compost that lies on the tree branches. Who benefits from the orchids and the tree? Yes, it is an orchid. The organism which gets the benefits is called the commensal, which uses the other organism, the host, for transport, shelter, and protection. Aside from the mutualism and commensalism, we have also the parasitism, a type of relationship in which one organism, the parasite, lives at the expense of the other, the host. The organism that benefits from the relationship is called a parasite, which is usually smaller than the other organism, the host. An example is the flea that thrives on a dog. What they call the dog. How about the flea? The dog serves as a host and is harmed, whereas the flea serves as a parasite and benefits. Therefore, it is called parasitism. The parasites may live inside or outside the body of the host. Take tapeworms, for example. Tapeworms live inside the intestines of humans. They depend upon the host for their food and nutrients. Some parasites live outside the body of the host, like that of the mosquito. The mosquito is a parasite that lives outside the body of the host. It sucks blood from the skin of man, which is the host. Predation. In this type of relationship, the predator, which is normally bigger in size, hunts, kills, and feeds on the smaller, hunted animal called prey. This involved a fight for survival. Is the bird eating a caterpillar is an example of this relationship? What do you think? Competition takes place when a member of the same or different species attempt to utilize limited resources. It may happen between organisms of the same species or between different species. Organisms compete for the same needs in their environment. In this relationship, both organisms involved are harmed. In the field, corn plants compete with weeds for water and minerals, and trees compete with one another for nutrients and sunlight. This is evident between the two deer competing for grass. There are 5 ecological relationships that occur in the environment: mutualism, commensalism, parasitism, predation, and competition. In order to have a concrete understanding of the lesson, please answer activity number 2, interactions of organisms. You will identify the organisms in the relationship as shown in each picture, then describe whether the organism is benefited, harmed, or unaffected using the emoticons below. If you're done with your activity, present the outputs and explain how you produce the respective answers. You got it right! What an amazing presentation! Any questions in your activity? If none, Let us proceed to another activity. For you to understand more, please answer the activity number 3, puzzle about ecological relationships. Complete the puzzle by identifying the term being described. So let us answer the activity number 3. Number 1, predator. 2, prey. Number 3, competition. Number 4, host. 5, parasite. 6, commensal. 7, parasitism. 8, commensalism. 9, predation. And number 10, mutualism. Great! Congratulations! Job well done! Let us see if you understood the lesson by answering the summative evaluation through Google Form. Please open your Google Classroom. I have already assigned the Google Form. Analyze carefully the questions and choose the letter of the correct answer. After answering the Google quiz, turn in your answers. For your assignment, I want you to share your knowledge and talents. Write a say in Filipino or sayawit using indigenous music that you can share regarding the learning you gain from the lesson about ecological relationships with the theme Pantay at Pagkakaisa ng Ugnayan tungo sa pagsulong sa pagtaguyod ng kapwa-tao at ng kalikasan. This is all for today, and let us see each other in the next video lesson. Goodbye, class!